Welcome to the Hookup on Music with your host, Tony Bird.
Hello, everybody. Tonight or today or whenever you happen to be listening to this, this is the Hookup on Music, episode 104, and I am joined by just the legendary Penguin, the man, the myth, Mr. Magnificent Stan. How are you, my good sir?
What's up, brother? I'm good, man.
Okay.
I'm good.
This is going to be a good show because you have picked out some records that we're going to dig into here in just a couple minutes. Before we happen to dig into these records, real quick before we get started, do you happen to remember your first record or album or any piece of music that you got to purchase on your own? Or something close to it? Yes.
Yeah, my first it was actually a CD. I was lucky enough to be in a family that had a CD player when we were really young, even though, I'm in my mid 40s. So CDs were expensive and so were CD players back then, but my first CD was We Care a Lot, Faith No More. So
excellent album. I mean,
yeah.
excellent. Most people would say like the real thing, but of course, We Care a Lot.
Real Thing had come out. Epic was real big, and we went to like it was like a Sam Goody. It was like a really big record store. It's like a Sam Goody or like one of the really big ones downtown. And I wanted to get the Real Thing, and they didn't have it, so I was like, "Fuck it, I'll get the older one." And yeah, I mean, I still when I started records, I started collecting again probably about 6 or 7 years ago. One of the first records I got when I started to build back up a collection was actually I got We Care a Lot. I found it at a half price of books. I need to get a better copy of it because it's all warped and screwy. But I always made it a point to get that one just because it's not their greatest album, but it's the start,
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean,
different singer, obviously.
Yeah, Chuck was a very interesting fella if you've ever read about him a little bit, but I'm all about, I will just get in a debate with our fellow Penguin Yumper to talk about the Chili Peppers before Frusciante, because Hillel Slovak was a great guitar player too, who unfortunately passed away, but sometimes you get overshadowed by somebody else, and that's kind of like those first couple Faith No More albums.
Yeah, and I mean, even if I were to rank the members of Faith No More, Mike Patton would even be first. And we talked about this on my podcast this week. Billy Gold is freaking amazing with the bass guitar. So, he makes sounds that are so loud and aggressive. He's, like I said, he's not like the most technically proficient musician ever, but when he's playing, he's fucking playing.
I mean, the band, itself. I mean, Mike Borden, amazing drummer. Who I saw play with Ozzy at an Ozfest. I mean, this guy, and he's been on Jerry Cantrell's solo albums. But everybody in that band. It's kind of sad that after Angel Dust, Jim Martin wasn't in the band anymore, guitar player, because he was pretty cool too. Keyboardist Roddy Bottom too. Just read this week. They're kind of unsure where they actually stand because the last time they were going to do something, they got canceled because of Mike Patton needing to take some time off.
Yeah, he's always dealing with something or another. Like he's dealt with a lot of stuff in his life, and kind of just gets in the way for him. But yeah, what I really want to see would be a Tomahawk show. If they were able to get those guys together, yeah,
a lot of good players in that band too.
Yeah, they got guys from They got the guy from Helmet, and then Jesus and Mary Chain. I can't remember the names. I'm terrible with names, but yeah, I mean, I liked Mr. Bungle's good, but Tomahawk was like my jam, man. I grew up a huge Helmet fan too, so and then my sister was real into Jesus and Mary Chain as well, so always heard him a lot. So
did you did a lot of music? Did your sister show you a lot of things? Her being older?
I had older siblings. My brother's about 10 years older than me, 9 years older than me, and I learned a lot from him too.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, my sister, Dinosaur Jr., um, Sonic Youth, stuff like that. That's really I kind of picked that up from her. My brother introduced me to a lot of the grunge stuff before it was big too. Like I had listened to Nevermind before Smells Like Teen Spirit even came out. Like that's how like just into that sound my brother was. So
I had an older cousin who had like Nine Inch Nails, The Downward Spiral before it was big, and you hear these sounds that later become like closer when you remember hearing it the first time. But
right.
very awesome, very awesome. Well, let's see what you have brought to the table tonight, vinyl wise.
Do you want me to start with the main event, or do you want me to build up to the main
Let's
event?
build up to the main event.
All right. First one we'll talk about. This is something you and I have actually talked about a couple of times, just bullshitting. And new album came out last year. I wanted to pick something new as well as some of my favorites. So I grabbed this last year's Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats South of Here, which I think is the best album of 2024. There's a few in contention, but this one I've been listening to them for a few years now, and this is my favorite album of theirs. You listen to it and you hear the influence. There's so much going on. You could tell what he was listening to. I'm trying to remember. Get Used to the Night. If you listen to that song and you think Counting Crows, you're like, holy crap. Like it's right there, like there's a lot of like Van Morrison influence. There's some even like kind of feel like that folky, laid back, like what's his name? Luden Wainwright stuff almost. Like just I as I'm getting older, I'm getting into the funky, I'm getting into the eclectic, and I feel like those guys pull from so many different influences. Uh-oh. You still here, Tone? I'll just keep going here. Yeah, I mean, the first time I listened to it, I was like, holy shit. Nate's been listening to a lot of Springsteen lately as well, because there's a lot of like that reflective rock that's guitar based. There's so many different instruments involved as well. The horn influence with some of their stuff as well kind of just brought me back to a little bit of Springsteen. Yeah. He'll be back, I promise, guys. But yeah, I'll go back into like my background with music as well. Faith No More, we were just talking about, one of my favorite bands of all time, but I like that was my first love of music was Faith. Sorry, Tony, I kind of just filled a little bit.
No, I'm actually, you know what, the most
Okay.
amazing thing that why we did it this way is that, well,
Yeah.
you're the only person that if it goes off, you could keep going and it
Yeah.
won't shut off. But I appreciate you going, because I was about to say that it is one of the best albums of the year.
Yeah.
You're
I was saying, if you didn't catch it, I was talking about how you can tell that the band was listening to a lot of Springsteen as well. There's a lot of Springsteen influence. There's horn in the background, but like very soulful stuff though. So like even like a little bit of like a little like I mentioned Van Morrison, it's kind of in there as well. Just don't talk about Van Morrison's politics. That's all I ask.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the unfortunate part with him. I mean, I could go on about Van Morrison forever, but then you start to hear how he talked in the last couple of years, and you're like Clapton too. Clapton took away a lot of
same era.
I used to, but again, Heartless, great track off the album.
Yes, that was a single. That was the big single that came out. It's a good one. Yeah, what's the first track? I freaking love David and Goliath, the one before Heartless. That one's great. And then Time Makes Fools of Us All at the end that's a great closer. So
I'm a big I like the Rockers. So Call Me What You Like is one that I definitely enjoy a lot. But it's a great album. And does is it like one of those that it opens fully, or is it like a pull-out one, the album?
So this one actually has a sleeve on it. So it's got the cover, and then you pull it out of the sleeve.
Oh,
so
well, that's really cool.
And then, so one of the rare things, it has all the lyrics still.
Oh, cool.
You know, they don't do that a lot anymore. The one thing I noticed they haven't been doing the last year or two, they used to give you digital codes to download the digital version. I think they're like, screw it, Spotify's taking over anyway. But it was kind of cool for people that wanted to, you know, seek out ownership of a digital copy of it. You know,
very cool, very, very cool. Great album.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the three best albums. Like I have a hard time ranking them. The No Name Jack White one that just came out, I guess you could technically call that 2024 because it came out in December. But I haven't stopped. I'm not that person that listens to the same album over and over again. I'll go back. You know, I'll kind of just bob and weave in a little bit. But I've listened to that record. I just bought it a couple weeks ago. I've already listened to it like 4 or 5 times. So
I'll have to sit down and actually listen to that one fully. I've listened to tracks here and there. And
then the newer Father John Misty that came out. I can't remember the name. Let me grab that.
The one that they play on XRT. What's it called?
Yeah, Mahashana.
Excellent. She Cleans Up. That song is actually a real good rocker.
It's very different for him too. Like it kind of reminds me a little bit of when Neil Young did Harvest, and he started to mess around with like orchestra accompaniment and stuff like that. Because he does that a lot in that album.
Does he have I haven't really done a full dig in for him. Is there a lot of rockers on past albums, or is that a rarity for him?
No. I mean, my wife actually refers to him as like the Temu Elton John. Like he's very, like it's very piano centric a lot of the times, piano or acoustic guitar. Total Entertainment is one of my favorite albums of all time, actually. That guy, like, it's funny because he almost has like that Andy Kaufman-esque feel to him. Like you don't know, like if he's being
serious or
if he's serious. Like some of his lyrics are very political, but some of them are very funny as well. So you're just like is he really like just this weird eccentric? Because he's a character. I mean, he was a drummer for a long time for a bunch of different bands. So I mean, like Father John Misty, actually, that's not his name or anything. So like you don't know, like is it next thing you know, he's gonna show up in Memphis wrestling women, you know? I don't know.
Well, that's what's cool about a lot of great artists is he like keeps changing the cloak of who he is by keeping the fans engaged in what he's doing, as opposed to like the same thing, you know, all the time. Like, you know, it's like I was telling you the other day, I'm driving to work and then AC/DC comes on and there's Malcolm Young and that guitar is amazing, but a lot different than if Father John Misty keeps switching up his sound every other track or every other album.
I don't even know like how to I think that's why I like it so much. I don't even know how to classify what he does. Like it's just music. Like there's no, like it's not rock. It's not. It's softer than that, but it's not. You know? I don't know. I when we saw him live a number of years ago, and it was phenomenal. Like he's all over the place.
Well, to back up what your wife was saying, like Elton John had come out. I could play some songs like deep cuts that are real rockers, and then he's got the soft stuff, which I love any artist. That's why, like the Beatles' White Album, it goes all over the place. That's kind of where I got my start of eclecticism. Faith No More, actually, if you listen to Angel Dust, it's heavy.
That's why I'm easy.
It's eclectic.
Yeah.
Be aggressive. Be, you know,
yeah,
I mean,
where the hell did that come from?
Or you know, the song that comes after Midlife Crisis, RV, where it starts with the piano. It's just like talking or whatever. I mean, like, but that's where you start listening to music, and I guess you're like, I can listen to anything, I guess, if I can listen to this.
Is that your favorite Faith No More album? It's a
the
lot
one
of people's. That's why I asked.
My very first one, so it's hard. And honestly, but like, I also have went back to everything else.
Yep.
It's kind of like the Black Album was my first Metallica album, but it's not my favorite. With Faith No More, you know, that 1, 2, 3 track Go on Angel Dust is probably one of my favorite 1, 2, 3 in the heavy genre. Land of Confusion is such a song that is cool and is out there, and his lyrics are all over the guitar. I mean, but that's what Faith No More is. The Real Thing is probably one of my least favorites, I would say. I love the album, but
you know what's funny is if I were to rank the songs on Real Thing, I would probably put Epic last, which was like their blast hit. There's some good shit in there. Woodpecker from Mars, like, where did that come from? You know what I mean? Like, their cover of War Pigs is better than War Pigs. I'm sorry, it is. Like, I've talked about that on my podcast.
I will say that one for the next episode. We'll talk about them too. And
we should just do a whole Faith No More episode, you know?
No, it's their two War Pigs versus Cake's War Pigs. We'll just put all three against each other in a battle royale.
There you go. You want me to go on to the next one?
Yes. What else we got?
All right, I wanted to go a little harder. This is one, like, I've listened to this band for a long time, but I never really got into them. My sister bought me this for Christmas last year, and it's one of the ones that consistently in my rotation. It's the debut album for Sleater-Kinney.
Very awesome.
There's so many different cool sounds in this album. Like, it's all over the place. It's got so much weird 90s indie / college rock influence in there. They just hit hard. Like, it's fun. It gets fun. It's got a little Breeders in there, maybe a little yeah, I mean, it's out there.
Again, I've for a long time I was just all about just three pieces. Any kind of 3-piece band of any kind.
That's the punk influence in you, buddy.
And but like, even in a band like Rush, where you can have such a large sound, but it's only 3 of you, and you don't have to argue with 2 or 3 other members of the band. It's just working with your 3. But Sleater-Kinney, I mean, that album is really, really good. A lot of good stuff.
I like all their stuff, but that first one, it hits so well. Like, there's so much. I don't know if it's the recording process of it or what, but it's very raw, and like, sounds are going over each other. Like, it wasn't mixed, or over mixed. You know what I mean?
I mean, at 22 minutes, the album is,
Yeah, it's a very quick listen, and it's just good.
Track number 6, Be Your Mama. I like that track a lot. A lot of good stuff though throughout the whole entire thing.
Yeah, Sold Out's really good. Real Man's really good. Yeah, like I said, it's one of those albums that, and that's kind of what I when I started collecting again, is I just like to listen to the whole damn thing every time. So, and that's one of those ones where I'm not zoning out in the middle of it. So.
Well, before we move on to your next record, a question I have is, do you put your records in alphabetical order, or how you get them? Yeah. Alphabetical?
Yeah, everything's in alphabetical, but I'm simple. I keep the comps and the soundtracks isolated from everything else, but everything else is pretty much by band name. I just want to be able to grab and go. I'm not trying to recreate High Fidelity or anything like that. We're not going autobiographical with my fucking records. That's for sure.
Man, that would just too much time to break all of those records up like that. But right. Definitely, that's how I've always kept my stuff, is alphabetical. Gotta have it.
One thing I definitely need to do is I have a spreadsheet with everything on it, and I haven't updated it in probably a year and a half. So I think I might just delete it and start over, and because, like, I've been going to record stores more lately, and every time I go in there, I'm like, do I have this? Do I have
That's-
this one?
That's
one,
the
do I-
tough part,
like,
you know.
For Christmas this year, my sister's a huge Red Hot Chili Peppers fan, and I had an extra copy of Californication. I was like, "Here you go." Like I had the blue, like Weezer Blue album. I had another one too. I was like, "Here, just take
There
it."
you go. Take this. Look what I bought you.
Right. No, I'm honest with her. I'm like, I had
know you
extras.
are.
Here you go.
So, you know, someone who you needed to get them a quick gift, you could have been like, here you go. I got you the Blue album because it's a great one. In reality, you accidentally bought a second one, you know, but that's the thing about records, though. I mean, even if you bought one again and you're that excited to listen to it, there's a reason.
Yeah.
You know, I remember personally, like my dad went through 5 Depeche Mode Violator tapes, like because he played them that much. Like I just remember they were just like, because he like worked on cars, he had like dirty eyes. It was all over the place. But you like something that much, you buy it until well. So
Actually,
what else we got?
I almost bought some Depeche Mode today. I found.
Did you? Which one were you gonna buy?
There's a website that was selling there's some, like, if you collect vinyl and you just kind of dick around on websites, there's so much outrageous stuff that they piece together. The real problem is you don't know how it sounds.
Yeah, that's
because you don't know who's pressing it, but at the same time, it's still cool. This was a live album from Switzerland, and it had like this really cool, like blue and white splatter pattern on it. I'm not like a nut. I'm not a nut for the colored vinyl, but it's pretty cool. But it's pretty cool to have sometimes, you know, some of them. Next time, if we continue to do this, I'll grab the Tool one, and I'll blow your mind with the Tool one. It's got like the articulated body on it. It's pretty awesome.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
What we got next down the hatch here?
Okay, I got 2 more. Do you want to do both, or do you want to just do the main event one?
We can do both. 2 of them. We'll do the first one, and then we'll do the main event.
This is another recent purchase. So my cousin Josh, another guy who is kind of an influence for music, who would seek out a lot of like hip hop and stuff like that. We got real into like underground, like, I don't know how else to call it, like white boy hip hop, where it's almost like the type of, like, remember the guy in high school that had the notebook and would write poems all day? That's these guys, but they became hip hop artists, and they're fucking great. So this is Sage Francis. I don't know if anybody really knows Sage Francis. He signed this for me, which is awesome.
You did get me. Have
personal
never heard
journals. And then I'm going to show you. Actually, the records are colored vinyl.
Oh, cool!
So, very cool stuff. This is personal journals. There are, if you listen to hip hop and you want to try something new, he's a very easy listen. It's very simple type of hip hop.
Oh, I got it right here. Okay, personal journals. Okay.
Yeah, he talks about a lot of stuff that are he doesn't have an ego problem like a lot of hip hop artists, and that's like the style and the culture, I don't want to say ego, attitude. He doesn't have that attitude. He has that
Macklemore. I'm just kidding.
Right. It's stuff, but it's stuff that like I relate to.
Yeah.
You know, when I listen to hip hop, I want to listen to lyrics. Obviously the accompaniment is awesome too. Like when they use different sounds to accompany, but lyrical content is really important, especially with hip hop for me.
Oh, yeah.
So if you haven't heard him before, personal journals, there's a couple of other ones. Hang on. Again, terrible with names. I'm that guy. A Healthy Distrust is really good. That one came out in 2005. Personal journals came out after that. Human to Death Dance is really good, and then there's one called Life that's really good as well. So all 4 of those albums.
I'll have to do some research. I mean, he hasn't put anything out in 11 years. Is he still around, or do you know?
He actually runs a label. He's in a few groups.
Cool.
There is funny story, and I'm gonna send him this podcast to listen to because he doesn't know this story. He has a song on Healthy Distrust called Voicemail Bomb Threat. Now, he was having a dispute with a promoter at one point, and as kind of a joke, he posted the promoter's phone number on like a message board or something, or on his website or whatever. So my cousin and I and my other cousin got drunk one night and we called it and we told the guy that we were going to skull fuck him. I mean, I was 20, like a 20-year-old kid at that point, you know, I give a fuck. Now, if you listen to voicemail bomb threat, it's actually it's actually music with this guy's voicemail to Sage Francis, and he talks about getting skull fucked in the fucking voicemail. So like I have that like personal, like I helped influence one of Sage Francis's songs, you know. So,
That's great.
but yeah, with hip hop, it's important to kind of as opposed to everything, even with music, it's always important to search out. Exploration of music always important, but with hip hop, it's especially important because there's so much out there that you can find, so much underground, so much. Like we used to go to the Fireside and see shows all the time, and just phenomenal shit. So.
Man, I miss going to the Fireside. I've seen a couple shows there. Yeah. Real cool little venue.
I saw. If you're listening to Minus the Bear,
yes,
I saw Minus the Bear. They opened up for my friend's band first starting out. That was a cool one. Yeah, I love that band. Those guys are good. We saw them at Riot Fest a few years ago, and they were phenomenal.
Very, very awesome.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Folks.
I had you in mind when I pulled this one, okay? And I'm just going to make fun of this because the fact that I even own this and spent actual money on it is the funny part. We have Danzig Sings Elvis.
I knew that was what you picked. If you said, Tony, what do you think I picked? And if I pick it, I knew that's what you were going to pick. I remember when you told me you got that record.
I am usually the guy that listens to something before he buys something with music, especially with the accessibility of music nowadays. I don't want to spend $30. I mean, records are not cheap. You know, like a standard LP is $35. You know what I mean? So like if you're buying like new vinyl, it's $35. So I want to listen to it beforehand. I did not listen to that beforehand. What an absolute pile of trash. So the story is he has always wanted to make that album, like his whole life, from what I understand, and he never had the money to actually do the whole process of getting it all done. He went on that one tour with the Misfits so that he could convince the label to make this album for him.
And ironically, I found a picture here with the Misfits poster, so I had to put it on in the background while you told your story. And ironically, I have a buddy that hopefully one day you can meet. He's actually a wrestler in a local promotion, and he owns this album and remind me a lot of him. And what's really crazy about all this is that it's just so ridiculous, man. I mean, Danzig singing these songs,
right? And when you see the Danzig singing Elvis, you're like, oh, cool. He's gonna put like a. I mean, how do you classify his music? I mean, you classify his music as almost like a hardcore or a metal.
Yeah, his spin
as
on
opposed,
it, you know? Yeah.
and then there's that punk influence as well. You're expecting something like that. No, this is fucking standards. This is like him trying to sound like Elvis. And I think the worst part is not that he made this album, it's the songs he picked. I don't know any of these and I like Elvis. I listen to I have Elvis albums.
Now,
I don't know a lot of these songs.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think this is like 30 years too late? Like this comes out in 92, when the middle he's rocking. Do you think, and his voice is at the top of his game? Is this a different album? Is his voice the problem?
No, it's the style that's the problem.
Gotcha. Because I would be asking you, I just have laughed about this. I've never spent any time listening to it, but I'm tempted to.
If he'd hung out with the boys and did like some type of heavy, it would have taken off, at least with his fan base. But this did nothing. This did nothing for him, you know. I'm curious. I could be curious to see how much money he actually spent on this album, like out of his pocket.
Well, I know you've seen pretty much everything. Of course, you've seen the video of him getting like knocked out. Like,
oh yeah.
Just like
well, you don't get into a fight with a 400-pound Samoan guy.
But like as a child, like I mean, as a 12, 13-year-old boy, I'm watching the Mother video, on Headbangers Ball, and I'm like, this guy, man, you don't want to step with this guy in an alley. And my buddy would always be like, what, 5'5" of him? You know what I mean? Like, and I would be like, he's so strong. He looks so
my brother used to make fun of it. Mother, do you want to fight hell with me? Even though I'm only 5'3", mother.
Which is the problem. Sometimes you're going to get angry and you want to throw your fist around and well.
And let's get back on that real quick too. Is I love his voice, but I don't know. Well, he could have done. It was just like that. It's like that Weezer covers album. Like they did not. There's like they did nothing unique. They didn't put any type of spin on anything.
Recently, Garbage came out with like a covers album, and they put their own spin on a bunch of good tracks, and that's what you look for generally in a covers album or covers something. You want its own originality, but also yourself too in it, but not like every time you brought it up, it reminds me of like the albums where William Shatner singing like the standard.
She packed my bags last night. And I'm going to be high.
But thank you so much, Brian, for joining tonight. Hopefully next month you will maybe possibly join us again for another round of records and laughs and a bunch of other stuff. But before we go, please tell everybody about what's coming up this weekend on your amazing It's Getting Drafty show.
Oh, yeah. So, tomorrow, too.
Yes.
We're going to be on our playback channel where you can stream video together. And basically, like, what's going to happen is me and Baloney from the Chicago Sports Bums are going to essentially Mystery Science Theater 3000, the 1992 WWF Royal Rumble. So that's going to be a good time. It'll be before you guys go on. So it'll probably be about between like 6 and 7 o'clock. And then next week we're doing if anybody's a listener that hasn't seen my pod, It's Getting Drafty in here. We do fantasy drafts, just random nonsense. This upcoming week we're going to be drafting movies. Each pick is going to be a movie accompanied with an actor from that movie, and then the thought process is the rest of the movie is going to be cast by Muppets. So that should be a fun conversation. It's like I was telling the two people that I'm going to have on with me. It's either going to be absolutely hysterical or just a gigantic train wreck, but be fun to watch.
You have never had a train wreck of an episode, so you should put that or if you think
I really appreciate that because like 30% of the time, I'm like, I don't know if that one went well.
Well, the thing about what you do, and it's kind of like honestly when I have a guest on here like tonight. If you just get it rolling like we did on Tuesday, it rolls, man. And that's what's good about the show. Like all the great picks we did this past Tuesday's episode where we got to draft really our own bands, which was really a lot of good time. So check that one out too. And as he said, check out tomorrow, 1992, the Royal Rumble playback. And we're also going to be the Hookup is going to be back next week again. But until that time, at the show will be tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. to talk about Samuel Jackson. Before we go, you got a favorite off the top of your head, Samuel Jackson flick?
Don't you always have to? And I don't know if you have a filter in terms of language, but don't you always have to say whenever you say Samuel Jackson, you're supposed to say motherfucker?
Yes. I am supposed to say Samuel Jackson, motherfucker.
My favorite character was
and get me my wallet, the one that says bad motherfucker.
That's a good character. I actually, when I was, I took a drama class in high school. I took a bunch of drama classes in high school, but one of the finals was we had to do like an entire scene and set up everything. And we did the restaurant, the coffee shop scene at the end. I actually played Jules. So
that's great.
There's a video somewhere, but my favorite role of his is probably Jackie Brown.
Great role. Great role. Honestly, he's got like a quiet menace in that role with his little mini ponytail too. Really great role. We'll see if tomorrow night we'll be talking about it. But thank you so much, everybody, for checking out the show. Check out again. It's getting drafty in here. Check out the At the Mini show podcast. Check out tomorrow night. Until next time, I'm Tony B. Next month, we will see the main man here again. Everyone out there, have a good night and take care.
Thank you for listening. Please look out for the audio version wherever